Comments for the week ending March 19th from the beef farmers of Ontario. There were 436 head of fed steers and heifers sold through auction markets last week, down 36 head from the previous week. Fed steers averaged $316.87 per hundredweight, up $3 per hundred, and fed heifers averaged $315.41 per hundredweight, up $5.89 per hundred from the previous week's trade. Auction markets reported that fed steers and heifers sold $2 to $5 per hundredweight higher. In Ontario, light trade was reported at $5.25 per hundredweight delivered, $10 per hundredweight lower compared to 2 weeks ago. Cattle were being booked for the week of March 30th delivery. For the week ending March 7th, 2026, Eastern fed cattle and cow exports to the U.S. were 3,844 head, 20% below last year and 24% above the 5-year average. Year-to-date, Eastern fed cattle and cow exports were up 1% from last year. Whole cow receipts sold through auction markets last week were 1,809 head, down 234 head from the previous week. Cows averaged $193.83 per hundredweight, up $7 per hundred. Beef cows averaged $208.40 per hundredweight, up $7.24 per hundred from the previous week's trade. Auction markets reported on Tuesday the fed stronger. By Thursday, fed cows sold at firm prices on good demand. Total receipts were 8,220 head last week, with receipts of 4,265 stock and feeder cattle selling through auction markets, up 398 head from the previous week. Auction markets reported on Friday, March 13th, that calves and yearlings sold steady. By Thursday, stockers sold actively on a very strong market. The Quebec electronic market last week sold at $5.28 per hundredweight dressed on a picked-up basis, down $3 per hundredweight from the previous week's trade on average. Last week, Alberta fed steer and heifer prices closed the week on either side of $3.20 per hundredweight on a live basis. Dressed sales were reported from $5.25 to $5.38 per hundredweight, mostly $5.38 per hundredweight. Cattle that traded were scheduled from immediate to early April delivery. In some cases, cattle were bought flat with no heavyweight carcass discounts. In other cases, carcass discounts started at 1,050 pounds. By Wednesday, March 18th, light trade developed with dress sales reported at $5.40 per hundredweight delivered, $2 per hundredweight higher than the previous week. For the week ending March 14th, Western Canadian fed processing was 35,442 head. Year-to-date processing is 9% lower than last year. The U.S. cash cattle trade last week saw most of the trade take place on Friday. Dress sales in Iowa and Nebraska were at $3.72 per hundredweight. Live sales were reported at $2.35 per hundredweight, fully steady with the previous week. Sales in Texas and Kansas were from $2.35 to $2.36 per hundredweight, fully steady. Despite improved processing margins, packers have been slow to ramp up processing rates. Last week's cattle processing was estimated at 508,000 head, the smallest processing volume seen so far this year. Workers at the JBS processing plant in Greeley, Colorado are still on strike. This is Jamie Kerr with the Beef Farmers of Ontario Market Information Report.